So for cases where we want to negate conjunctions and disjunctions, thinking back to our penguins when we were introducing this stuff way back when, we can actually use essentially the same construction we had in chapter 2 when we were looking at negating unions and intersections. That is, we use the logic of Augustus De Morgan, just like we did before with De Morgan's laws, where they actually behave in basically the same way. That if we negate P and Q, we get not P or not Q, and if we negate P or Q, we get not P and not Q. Where if we want to think about this in terms of truth tables, we can go through these cases carefully here and see that if we take our conjunction and negate it, along with looking at the disjunction of each of the negated pieces, we have the same truth. And the same thing would hold if we looked at the second case with truth tables as well, for fundamentally the same reasons, just with some peaks instead of valleys, as it were, for our symbols, where we could think of this in terms of, like I said, those penguins earlier, where if we had a statement like penguins can fly and penguins can swim is not true, like we talked about, we could instead give a cleaner phrasing, penguins cannot fly or penguins cannot swim, which is true because, as we said, assuming anime is not real, penguins cannot fly. So we have a reasonable statement that comes out from that negation in terms of negating each part and flipping the relationship between them. Let's get another example here to finish this off exactly the way we've been working so far, with a little bit more music. So we want to use De Morgan's laws for this to negate the statements, my daddy left home and left very little for my family, and some gals would giggle or I would get red. In the first case, the first part could become something like my daddy did not leave home, while the second becomes something like he left very much, as dealing with the negation of a quantified statement is a little bit clunky, but we are looking at the opposite of very little. We could say that's very much, which would give us a statement in total using De Morgan's laws in the flavor of my daddy did not leave home or left very much for my family. Then for the second, we have a similar sort of idea where, again, negating that quantified statement, the opposite of some is none. So we would get with that something like no gals would giggle. And from there, because we are undoing a disjunction, we get a conjunction. So you'd get and. If you're not getting red, I would not get red. So we have the total statement, no gals would giggle, and I would not get red. So we can see again that when we're taking these things and flipping them using De Morgan's laws, we get things that are reasonable in the same way they were before, or unreasonable in the same way that they were before. And that's about all we're going to look at here. There's another section in 3.7 that's a little bit more advanced and leaving that as extra credit. So from here, good luck preparing. Hopefully you've seen the study guide by the point you're watching this. If you haven't, look forward to seeing that soon. And I'll see you next time to finish off this section before we move on to our third unit of the semester. See you in a bit.